Good evening, everyone. This is Vicky Bayford, and this is Tuesday Talks with Vicky Bayford. Today, I was just going to open up a bit and talk about the um, uh, the new ministers that the Liberal government has put in place. So the new federal government um, has put some really anti-Albertan people in place. Not that we're really surprised by that, but our new environment and climate change minister is now a fellow named Stephen Gabald, and he is actually has been previously arrested for anti-energy protests and things like that. So, I mean, kind of a radical guy, and again, put there for a reason, and I'm sure none of us here are surprised. The Minister of Natural Resources is Jonathan Wilkinson. And again, so the first two things he said, and this isn't even going to go through Parliament, the things that he's going to focus on is obviously the capturing greenhouse emissions and cap them by, I think, 2025, he said, to hit our 2030 emissions goals to the UN or the Paris Accord or whatever. So he also actually has a mandate to have 50% of all light duty vehicle sales to be 50% have to be zero emission vehicles in 2030. So by 2030, even our capacity to buy the vehicle of our choice may be gone. We will be forced to buy electric vehicles, which I'm sure will work really, really well in places in rural Alberta and places like that. Um, don't even have the infrastructure yet, and to even think that electric vehicles will work outside of the city, I think is just completely insane. But again, and then I think one of the Alberta ministers, one of the Liberals that won here in Alberta, Randy Boussinalt, he has been named the Minister of Tourism and Associate Minister of Finance. So we'll see how well he works with the Minister of Finance, who Christy Freeland there. So, and we know how well she's been doing, printing money like it's going out of style. So I just kind of wanted to make those announcements and kind of talk a little bit about these ministerial appointments. And again, to show you, and I guess more so highlight, how anti-Albertan this federal government is, why the time for independence is now, and why we need to get an independence government into power and call this referendum and make independence happen. It's never been more imperative. These goals of the Liberal government that are very unrealistic and detrimental to our province. If we don't do this soon, we might not have an industry left. So and we won't even be able to create new ones. They have all these plans for creating new industry within Alberta. I don't see where they think they're going to replace these jobs, these high paying jobs that we have in Alberta, and not just the high paying jobs, but I mean our minimum wage is, I think, one of the highest in the country because we have people that can apparently afford to go out even with those raises. So if we don't have people making high incomes, they don't go out anymore. We have people that are stuck at home. We have waitresses and service staff, people in the service industry who are going to suffer from this. It is a domino effect. And if people think that you can just replace a whole industry and get rid of our natural resources, which we use to heat our homes and fuel our cars and live our lives, the demand is definitely not going down. And if our federal government wants to purchase these resources from other sources outside of Canada, it's really sad because they're going to be paying higher prices than if they just got it here in Alberta. So again, just some food for thought and let you know what's going on in our federal government. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit today about that question, like people go, why independence? Well, I say, why not independence? And that's the question I start asking a lot of the people that I talk with now is why not? Why don't you tell me the reasons why we shouldn't? Because I have a million reasons why it's time for Alberta to be an independent nation. Why don't you tell me why we shouldn't be? And most of the time when I ask that question, these are the common responses I get. I'm Canadian. I was born Canadian. I'm just Canadian. Well, then I always ask them, what does that mean to you? What does it mean to you to be Canadian? Because I was proud to be Canadian once, and I grew up and I thought I was living in a free country. And now, as we can see, that our Constitution in Canada means nothing, that it'll be trampled on at the slightest sneeze now, and we're willing to give that up. I mean, I think that the Alberta identity is way stronger than our Canadian identity now. Canadians, I don't even know what it means to be Canadian anymore, because if it means that I have to give up everything that I believed in and give up my integrity and things like that, then I don't want to be Canadian anymore. But Albertans are stronger. Albertans fight back, and we are hard workers. We have one of the best populations of people, the youngest, the strongest. We're fighters. We're resilient. We always come back fighting, and I think there's just far more integrity here in this province, and unfortunately, and that's not to judge all Canadians. I'm not trying to put everybody under one umbrella, but I mean, we do have something special here in Alberta, and I want to keep that. And I think that's why when people tell me, well, I'm Canadian, then tell me what that means to you and what does it mean to be Canadian? Because what it meant to me before is not what it is now. And I feel like in Alberta, at least we have, a strong identity, and we can keep up to those core values. Another thing that I get a lot when I ask people why they don't believe in independence is they don't think it's possible. No, it's not possible. I don't know. We're the biggest taxpayers in Confederation. Imagine if all that money stayed here, that the things that we'd be able to afford. Imagine if we didn't have to pay MP salaries anymore, that we had a smaller government and less of these people to pay for right through to their retirement. We would have less bureaucrats, and we would have way less government interference. We have the youngest and most highly skilled population in the country. We are self-starters. We have the ability to self-sustain in this province. We have everything we need to survive. So even if there was, I guess, maybe some time where we were still developing agreements with the rest of Canada or some neighbors to the south in the US, we would be able to self-sustain. We would be able to keep basics on the table. We would be able to probably build back better than anything. And I can't believe I just said that phrase, but I meant it in a good way. So the world wants what we have here, and they're going to be fighting over it, whether we do it, whether they, make agreements with us as an independent nation, or whether they just take it under a weak Canadian federal government. We'll be rebuilding our economy based on realistic goals here. And in independence, you won't be able to, in an independent Alberta, there won't be any trampling of people's rights. So for me, the path is clear. Vote for independence in 2023, and then we'll hold a referendum. And we will be able to see what Albertans really want. And I think it's time to ask that question to Albertans, because I do believe it's time that Alberta becomes an independent nation. Another big popular answer I always get to is why not independence is they just haven't never considered it. People have never even thought of it or even considered it being an option. So I asked them to imagine what it would be like to have a smaller government, to have less taxes, if they had accountability from a government and transparency. What would it be like if you knew where your tax money was going, that it didn't just disappear into federal never land, and you had no idea where your dollars went? What if there was so much transparency in the government that you knew that when you paid a tax dollar, it was going to fix your roads, it was building new schools, it was staffing hospitals, it's giving us the police force and the ability to staff up on the front line and necessary people and services that we need. What if you knew that's where your tax dollars were going? We would have so much more medical health freedom right now. And obviously, I know a lot of people, are probably tired of talking about COVID, but it is a political issue and it is something we have to deal with, and it's something we have to deal with quickly. Our businesses are no longer free to make their own decisions or run their businesses as they want. They've been told that they have to do the government's dirty work right now and have to mandate our health freedoms on behalf of the government, or they can't run their businesses. So you're going to tell me that businesses are free to run as they choose? I don't think so. And I don't think a lot of these business owners think so either. And well, a lot of them have told me there would be so much less red tape and bureaucracy in this system. We would have education freedom and way more choices to our education system. We would have way more power and control over what got taught to our children. And that's a big issue nowadays with a lot of the curriculum that comes out now that is not highly supported. It gets lobbied for from sometimes radical groups, and we end up with radical programs in the school that are not really educational. It's social propaganda. And maybe education should go back to being what it was, an education system. All of our other social activities and stuff we do, that's where our kids learn social skills. They don't need to learn their social skills in school. They learn a pecking order in school, but why do they need to learn anything outside of what they're supposed to be learning in an education system? So again, and that would be up to Albertans. Albertans would decide what they want their children to learn and what they don't want them to learn. So yeah, and a lot of the things that if you could imagine an independent Alberta would be, freedom, like freedom for our children, because our children right now do not have the same opportunities that we had when we finished school. We were able to go out and get a job, and maybe if we saved properly and learned how to use our money properly, we were able to buy a house in those first 10 years after we finished school. We were able to buy a car. We were able to do these things. With the way inflation is going up right now, do you think at all that our kids have the same ability to do the things that we were able to do? Do they have the same freedoms that we had? They don't. And it's our job to fight for those freedoms so that our children have the same ability to do the things that we were able to do. And I think it would be a really big shame to let those freedoms go. And I do not believe under this federal government, or if we stay within Confederation, that our children will have those same opportunities. And so I'm going to leave that at that. I just ask the people of Alberta to choose Alberta. And I even call out to all of the MLAs that are in power right now, choose Alberta. A lot of career politicians right now, I believe, are thinking about their pensions, and an independent Alberta might mean that, they're not going to possibly get paid. They're going to have to move out of the province to collect their pensions. And maybe that's true, and maybe rightfully so, because the rest of us, we save and we go into our private pensions or our work pensions. But, if I work somewhere for 4 years, I'm not getting a lifetime pension for the rest of my life if I work, so why should it be different from you? What have you done so special, especially now? What are the MLAs doing right now for Albertans to stick up for Albertans? Where is the transparency in our health laws? Where is the transparency that Albertans deserve? It is not there. So I ask that you share these videos, get these messages out. And when you are talking to people that don't either understand independence, don't understand what that means for Albertans, get that message out, because it is so important now. More than ever, we have to spread the message, and we have to be transparent with these people. And these politicians, we have to start calling them out and asking them to be just as transparent. Are you here for Alberta, or are you here for a paycheck? And I hope that most of the MLAs that are sitting in power right now, I hope they really are here for Albertans. I really do. You know, it doesn't seem like it right now. Most of them are pretty quiet, and basically a lot of them I feel are just bootlicking their leaders there. So, you know, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Stand up. And if there's things that you don't agree with, fight for your constituents. It's because right now we are in a very crucial time, I think, in history. And it's up to us to unite, come together, and make things happen and make things change. So with that, I will leave you all. If anyone has any questions, please let me know. I'm just going to talk for a couple more minutes, I guess, and just wait to see if anyone has any has any questions tonight. I don't see any so far. No questions today. Well, that's fine. So I'm going to give you guys all some homework, and I'm just going to ask that you talk to 2 or 3 people this week and ask them the question, why not independence? Those people that you know that are on the fence or don't understand it or against it, ask them why they don't support an independent Alberta. So share this video, ask your friends, and actually email me. Here, I'll put up the information for the site and our website or email. So get a hold of us on the website or by email, and you know, send me your comments, send me your questions, send me the responses that you get from people when you ask people about independence and how they feel about it. And tell me their concerns, because I think we need to unite as Albertans. We have to come together, and I think we owe it to our children. We owe it to ourselves to fight for this province, because it is a beautiful place, and we have a lot of great people here, and it's time to stand up for the rights. It's time to come together and fight for a common good. So with that, I'll leave y'all, and have a really great night, and I will talk to you next Tuesday with Tuesday Talks with Vicky Bayford. Okay, bye for now.